It is Saturday night. Once again, this is the Overnight Mouse Party. I'm Dean Voss, and so far we have Gizzard Gary. How you doing, Gizzard? Are you feeling better?
I am feeling better. Thank you for having me.
Well, I appreciate you being here. There is a link for this week's poll pinned to the top of the chat. So if you haven't voted in the poll, go do so. And I'll get the banner going since I just thought of it. At the bottom of the screen is an email address, untouchedboss@gmail.com. You can send in comments, suggestions, or pictures within reason. And a link for the Discord server. Place Hangout Chit Chat. It has to be cool because Gizzard Gary has one.
Yeah, man.
So I guess the kind of big news this week was the Supreme Court denied cert of Ocean State Tactical, the magazine limit case, and the what was the name for the assault weapons ban case?
Yeah, I don't know. I should know, but I don't.
Yeah, I can't think of it right now, but everybody will know what we're talking about. Uh, and I guess in the dissent, Justice Kavanaugh had said, well, there will be other cases, and we'll probably hear one in the next couple terms. Uh, I don't know why if they denied it now, why did they keep pushing it off to just deny it? Why not just deny it from the start?
Yeah, it's a good question. They're obviously looking for something in particular that they want to
Yeah.
tackle. But
And I don't, I still don't fully grasp how that all works. Um, and I haven't heard Mark Smith from the Four Boxes Diner shout at me telling me why things like this happen. Um, but there's there's a bunch more AR cases that are working their way up, and probably magazine cases. So I know when they're looking at cases, there's certain things they want, like it to have gone through the full process. So every time that a case is still working through the system and somebody tries to bring it to the Supreme Court before it's been heard in all the lower courts, usually the Supreme Court doesn't like that, so they won't. Uh, and so I did, and then there's a couple different ways the case can be brought, whether it's um, they're challenging the constitutionality or they're challenging the way it's applied in a certain circumstance. So the court might be looking for that special case that covers everything, so it's a complete ruling once they rule. I don't know,
yeah, I don't either.
or they could just not care. And I don't know.
And you're not even sure how they're going to rule once they do. And nothing's for certain anymore.
No. You, I think you can pretty much bet that uh, Justice Thomas will be against the gun laws because he's been pretty vocal about it for years.
Yeah.
But Anybody else who knows? Um, yeah. And the Supreme Court also ruled unanimously that Smith and Wesson couldn't be sued by Mexico. Um, that you can't sue a gun manufacturer based on how their product is used improperly, basically. So if
Right.
a criminal uses your item in a way not intended for that item, it's not your fault.
Well, at least they saw clearly on that one.
And Ozzy said the Illinois case affects almost all semi-auto rifles. Mr. Bob had said, I'd like to see SCOTUS rule Illinoising is unconstitutional. That state honks me off. Uh, yeah. Whoa, let's take a look. DJ was out there first, and then Gizzard Gary. Mr. Bob Davalina. And we'll look at your. He had sent in some pictures last week, and I missed the email, so I wanted to look at those. They're worth looking at. Ozzy Osbourne. I think that's everybody that said anything. So we'll go ahead and take a look at those right now. There we go. And he had bought himself a birthday present. And damn, what a birthday present.
Wow.
Yeah, that thing is beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
An engraved Colt Python. It is gorgeous, I think.
Be almost ashamed to shoot it.
I probably would not shoot that.
That's just beautiful.
Yeah, and I can't remember if. Let me. I don't have the email open. Give me just a second. Let me see if he had said who engraved it. So I've seen two different ones a Yankee was looking at. One was from the Seattle Engraving Company, which they're not actually in Seattle anymore. And I forget who did the other one.
Looks almost like Turnbull's work.
That's not the right email. Nope, he didn't say. He just said happy 66th birthday to me. But that is very, very pretty.
Yeah, it is from Seattle Engraving.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen some of their stuff online, and they do a really nice job. Woo! Yeah, those I can't remember how much they were. They're like 3,000, I think.
Oh, I imagine.
Yeah. That is a very nice birthday present. Yeah, I probably will never have anything that nice.
Me either.
So we'll take a look at the poll here. Let me call that up because I'm going to forget. So this week's poll, get it up on the screen, was how do you get your news? Let me refresh it and make sure that we're all up to date. And then I have to sort. There we go. So how do you get your news? Newspaper, TV, social media, or no news is good news. Is it bedtime for you?
Oh, it's just my automatic thing telling me that my bedtime's approaching.
53% said social media. 23% said TV. 20% said no news is good news. And 3% said newspaper. I pretty much anymore. I will, if I see the newspaper, I'll just kind of scan over, the headlines, see what they're talking about. But usually, I'm more interested on what's going on locally rather than nationally. Anything else, if I happen to see it on social media. But I don't really watch the news anymore. Kind of gave up. What about you?
Well, I mean, I follow everything on social media. Now, that being said, most of the major networks and news organizations I follow on my social media feeds, so I get their take on what's going on, plus I get several others. So it's not that I avoid TV and newspaper entirely. Their feeds show up, but I get everything. I consume it via social media. So I don't have cable, so I very seldom watch TV at all, and it's generally not broadcast TV. It's more, movie channels and stuff like that. And you know how often I watch movies, so newspapers, the only newspaper I take is a local one, and even that I read online. So
I used to get the local paper online. Well, I prefer when I'm reading to have it in my hands. Um, but I got the local paper for a while. I did get the hard print, and then it came also with the digital edition. But I don't know. It's um, kind of like I don't know. I always confuse um, Thoreau and now I'm sleepy. Can't think. But it's a quote that I attribute to somebody. I can't find it to see if it actually was him, but um, basically, writer had from the turn of the century had said, "I don't read the newspaper. It's always the same thing: murders, robberies, and so I don't feel like I'm missing out." Uh,
there was a quote from Mark Twain that says, "If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you read the newspaper, you're misinformed."
that's not bad. He's got another quote which I like, which basically says, "Be yourself. Everybody else is taken."
True.
So, looking at the comments, Fiend Dog had said with Gary Gnu. Uh, so that's what the good GNUs says. No GNUs for those who might not know. Is from the Great Space Coaster. Gary Gnu's, who's a GNU that read the news.
Hmm.
X Adam 1, I make it up as I go along. Guns and Water, I watch Clickbait and Newsmax. Is YouTube a social media? I think of X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok as social media. I only have X and Facebook. I guess live chats qualify. Fuku YT Boomstick said, I get my news from a voodoo queen named Madame Marie Laveau. Chicken bones never lie. Michigan for conservative said, my wife tells me everything. I hardly listen. The goddamn bacon said, your mom. No, not that way. We have that encounter devoid of news. Too wet to repeat. She mails me cookies in vessel lines with news articles she finds hilarious. Wait, what were we talking about again? I might have meant someone else's mom. The best drywaller said all of the above. The NR Cannabist, which I like, kind of like that name, said high as fuck. Sergeant Joe Smith said from Krabby Turtle. He updates me while I'm at work because he just sits and watches news all day long. Gizzard Gary said, I make my living off the evening news. Just give me something I can use. People love it when you lose. They love dirty laundry.
They do.
And it's kind of fitting that DJ's nice because he hates that band. DJ Play Nice said, nothing fit to print. I don't really follow too much of the news. And like I said, I don't feel like I miss out. Every now and again, I'll miss that the price of stamps are going up. That's about it. A lot of the news that you hear, is basically should just be local news, but since it's a 24-hour news cycle now, they have to fill that void with something. So they find any story from anywhere. How's it going, Barbecue? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you guys?
Doing all right.
Wonderful, wonderful.
How do you get your news? Do you get your news? Doctor, give you the news.
Just paying attention to certain channels on the YouTubes, and then when I find a story that I'm interested in, then I'll go dig more into it, just to make sure I'm not getting a biased opinion. Coming from the source that I heard it from. Obviously, news outlets themselves can be biased, so. But overall, I don't pay attention to the news anymore.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Like, recently I found out Canada's on fire again. I was like, Canada's on fire again? I had no idea.
Yeah, that's, it can be our problem if it comes across the border, but Trump will deport the fire. So I'm not too worried about it. And gun websites, how you doing?
Fair to middling. I have bad internet right now.
Oh. Hopefully it'll hang on for a little while.
I'm using my backup internet. Also, I don't believe in Canada. I don't know what we're talking about here, but Canada's a myth.
America Light. Eh? So I'm guessing you probably get your news from the internet, from social medias mostly. G-webs.
I suppose, yeah. And then if you count wherever people I know in real life get their data, which I don't ask them, I assume a lot of them get it off the TV.
Uh, I wish there were more. You could have more than 4 options on these polls. That would be nice. Then I could have put from a friend. And let me show barbecue. I think he'll like these. Here. Let's see if I still have it up. Window. Nope. Hang on. I closed it up. Mr. Bob Dabalina had sent in some pictures of a gun he had bought himself, an engraved Colt Python.
Ooh.
And it is gorgeous. So I'll show you.
All right. You two other guys, don't look. People in the audience, close your eyes also. I'll let you know when it's safe.
That right there.
Give me a second so I can try and zoom in. Oh, wow.
Yeah, this was done by the Seattle Engraving Company, who does not reside in Seattle anymore. I think they're in Florida.
That's just wow. All right. We better let them open their eyes, shouldn't we? Don't open them yet. Do not open them yet. Not safe yet. Just saying.
Well,
I
I
need
shared it earlier
Oh, okay.
before you came in. But I thought you would probably like to see these.
Yeah, that is pretty sweet. My goodness.
But it's a beaut, Clark.
That is.
Mr. Bob said around the image of Samuel Colt, it says, God created man, Samuel Colt made them equal.
Do you think that was like just for marketing, or do you think that was activism thing from back in the day? Like, you don't have to take it from bullies anymore. Like now you can walk down the streets. You don't have to ask permission.
I think it was marketing. I think marketing. Yeah, Mr. Bob said there's a sapphire on both sides of the hammer.
Nice.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see in the picture, but there's a small sapphire inset. Yeah. Woo. Gets me excited. And we had talked a little bit about the Supreme Court denying cert or rejecting the AR ban and the magazine limit cases. Kavanaugh had said in the dissent that there will be other cases, and we'll probably hear one in the next couple terms. Whether they do or whether they don't, who knows? And I know that G-Webs, and I kind of also agree that it's not really the place we should be fighting it, but that's where we're fighting it.
I don't got a problem fighting it there, but don't put all your eggs in that basket and act like they have to be on our side or it's all over. That's what a lot of, the sentiment has been, I think, that, oh no, what else do we got to do? Or it's all. Or like they betrayed us, as if this Supreme Court is a political entity and has decided that the conservative side is correct, or the other way. Like they're just talking about constitutionality.
Well, the interesting thing was they denied the band's case on ARs, but they threw out Mexico's case suing, all the U.S. manufacturers, and in that opinion, they said that ARs are hands down the most popular sporting rifle in the country. So they acknowledge that. So the people that want to go, oh, the sky is falling, they didn't take this, blah blah blah. They made a little nod. Just give it some time. Unfortunately, states like that are in the Ninth Circuit, Second Circuit, stuff like that. Unfortunately, they're going to continue to suffer for a little bit.
I've never been a fan of the legality based on popularity.
Same here. If it's constitutional, it's constitutional. If it's not, it's not.
Yeah. But there's not much you can do about what the court said. Because that's similar to the when it gets into the argument of whether it's used for self-defense or not. It doesn't matter what it's used for. Any legal use.
Yes.
Boarding, self-defense.
Well, that's the thing that annoys me. Is I apologize, boss. I said that's the thing that annoys me is when we hear about these lawmakers or something, or any case. I think even like the Rahimi case. Obviously, that was a terrible case for 2A to have to be like, oh yeah, this fucking guy. But it was like, oh well, these guns are that and this. Why is that needed for self-defense? No, fuck you. It's not about self-defense. It's any legal reason. Period.
Yeah, with the Rahimi, there wasn't much for. I'll say for our side, quote our side. There wasn't much we could do about that because Rahimi was fighting it, and there might have been people backing it, but that's aside from the argument here. Rahimi's, was fighting the case, and then the state is the one that pushed it up the chain.
Yes.
So we kind of got the 2A community got dragged along with it.
Yeah. No. The DOJ knew exactly what they were doing when they chose that case.
Ozzy said the Maryland case was just ARs. The Illinois case is about semi-autos. And Garage Guys out there, good evening.
I saw North Carolina is waiting on their governor to sign their constitutional carry bill.
Ah,
From what I understand, it's not going to happen. Their governor is blue team, and when it finally hits his desk, will hit veto and kill it. And they do not have a supermajority to override the veto, so
that's unfortunate.
it is. The only reason I know about that is whatever the North Carolina 2A organization or whatever the heck it is. I followed them on Facebook a long time ago, and recently I saw a post where they're like, "Hey, this passed," which I think this passed before, and it had gotten vetoed, and I think it passed again now, and like I said, it's waiting to go to the governor's desk. But everybody's like, "Oh, it's going to get vetoed." I'm like, "Oh, well, it's definitely going to get vetoed if you got that attitude." Like, make noise, call the governor, like, "Hey, you veto this, and make sure you don't get reelected."
Oh, and just to get out ahead of it, there's no bracket tonight. If for
Thank God.
anybody that prepaid for the bracket, there will be a refund in 7 to 10 months. So just to let everybody know.
There was going to be a bracket, but then there was a bracket atrocity, and we contacted UPS and FedEx, and all the ones that we had already shipped out for tonight's bracket, we had brought back. And Mike Foss said, "You're going to get a refund in 7 to 10 months, but we're in the meantime jacking up the prices on the future brackets."
Yeah, I was gonna put one together this morning, and I got doing something else and didn't get to the bracket. So, perhaps
Oops.
next week. Yeah, I was working on the Brooks intro this morning. She had asked me to help her with a new intro, and I was trying out a new AI, Polo.ai,
Oh.
and I went ahead and paid for a year's worth of service, and it does a pretty good job. One of the problems I have is I'm still not that great at writing prompts. Being able to get it to do what I want it to do.
Yeah.
But if I'm guessing you didn't see it, her intro. No
I
pun intended.
actually did. Well, shouldn't say that I saw it. I listened to it. Then I heard her say that that's my new intro, and I show it to you guys tonight because the boss made it for me, and I don't know if those were her exact words, but it was along those lines.
And I don't have it out here on this computer to show, but it basically I took a photo and then had the AI generate all the movement she does. So, and then also had it take that photo and change it into into a cartoon picture in the style of Studio Ghibli. So like Princess Mononoke and Spirited Away. And then I told the AI to animate the picture that it drew for me. Took a little poking to get it to. It's not perfect, but um, the way it's set up, I get a certain amount of credits, and then each thing you do requires different amount of credits. So I'm kind of limited on how many times I can poke the machine to have it do something. Otherwise, I'll have to wait until next month to keep working on it. So luckily, I got it to where it's close enough to where I wanted it to be. Hopefully, she was happy with it.
She sounds like it.
Then then I threw a bunch of effects on top of it. I don't know what the AI gave me. But it's kind of neat that with the instead of being like one AI engine, there's a drop down, so I can go in and then choose different. Like I can't remember what ones are in there, but like it'd be like Chat GTP or Grok. And then it'll give you a little snippet of what that thing is good at doing doing like making realistic pictures or general pictures. And so you're not limited to just one. I've got a menu of different AIs that I can use. And then each one will usually be a different amount of credits to use. But that's what the pictures in the intro tonight was done through that. Testing out the different AIs that are available. So we'll see. The studio, LTX studio that we had looked at before for doing little movies, kind of AI driven movies. I'm using the free version, so I'm really limited on how much. And I tried to do an intro with it and really struggled. It wasn't giving me what I wanted, and a lot of that is I'm still not good at making the prompts. It's like with the hashtags. My hashtag game is pretty weak. I'm not good at it. But all the going through the process and all the time it takes with the LTX Studio to get everything, and then it just kind of ended up with stuff that was, to me, was unusable because it wasn't anything close to what I wanted. But it's not. I can't really blame it on them because, like I said, I'm not very good at telling it how to do what I want it to do. Understanding the way I need to tell it to do something to get it to do what I want it to do. So I don't know. Is anything else in the news? Any other important news stories? Nothing. Okie doke. Yeah. Oh, what else do we want to talk about tonight? I didn't really have anything. Yeah, like I said, I didn't get around to the bracket, so we've got some.
So the bracket's going to be improv and it's impromptu. Is that what we're talking
about? No, it'll be at another date.
So, like, what are some bracket ideas people would like to see in the future?
I'm always open to suggestions. It makes it easier for me. I don't have to think up so much stuff.
Reasons why my router won't get a DHCP client. Then we could troubleshoot and do a bracket at the same time.
I had yesterday where my internet slowed down really bad and then stopped working. I could see on my router, on my modem, that I was still connected to the cable company. I get internet through cable, still connected to the cable company. So the blockage had to be past them somewhere. So I figured, I don't know if there's some big hack going on, and I couldn't see, tried to look up on my phone if there's any news about anything outages, and nothing was coming up, and wasn't a huge deal. Went through most of the day, and then decided, well, I'll restart my modem just in case. Which I was fairly certain, just looking at the dummy lights was telling me everything was okay. Restarted it, nothing, and then thought, well, shit, I'll restart the Wi-Fi modem. That was the problem. For some reason, it got confused and then stopped working. Then once I reset it, everything was okay.
Yeah, that's normally how this stuff works. That's why it's frustrating. But I had, I guess the internet or the cable company had an outage in the area that was supposed to be like a number of hours. So I was like, whatever, I'll go to bed and it'll work by the time I wake up. And then however many hours later, I woke up and there's still no internet. So, of course, there's nobody to call anymore. It's too late. So,
Oh, I wonder if there was something that happened with the warehouse we order from at work. That they had some kind of outage, so couldn't log in to write orders and stuff. So I wonder if they're affected by the same thing.
I don't know. I would assume. Well, when I first had the issue, came out of nowhere. So I went to the cable company's website and just go into their website. They're like, "Hey, you got an outage in your area." And they showed me a map, and they're like, "This will be a number of hours." And that's where I was like, "All right, there's no point. They know that's the deal. I'm out of here." When I woke up, now it's however many hours later, and you go to their website, and it's like, "The internet is fine. Your network area coverage is fine." And then I called up, and they do like a manual or an automatic reset of the modem. But anyway, I'm not sure what's going on.
I'll get texts from the cable company saying, "Oh, we see there's an outage," and usually the text will come after I know about it, and then they'll give me an estimate on how long they think it'll take to fix, and then let me know usually half an hour to an hour after it's been fixed.
Running on the internet, the what do they call it thing? The StarNet right now. I'm going to space to connect to the internet.
Oh, you have Starlink?
Yeah, using this little Starlink Mini right now. About half the speed of my regular internet right at the moment, but I don't think I have it aligned all that great. It's getting better though. It was 100, now it's at 200.
That's not bad.
No, it's pretty decent. I think it's the size of the thing's only the size of a piece of paper. The one you put in your house is like twice the size, so there might be a factor of like how big of a dish you have. I'm wondering if I got the bigger dish, if it would connect faster.
What's your upload speed?
Right now it's 10.
Uh,
I mean, I just did a test and it's 10, but I've had it as high as 300 and then on the other side like 50 or something.
that's not bad.
No, it's pretty much my internet speed or my cable modem speed.
I had a problem with our internet being wonky. It would go out, and I'd have to keep resetting the router. And I knew the problem was the router, that it was bad, and the way they had set it up, because the router was supposed to be for the security system, and I knew we didn't actually need that router anymore because I could run it through my router, and trying to get them to understand that and believe me was the hard part. Is I basically tell them what the problem is, and then they have to go through their steps, restarting the router, checking this, checking that, and every time I talked to a new person, I'd have to go through all that stuff again, just to get them to come out to tell me what I already knew, that this router is bad. I don't even need it in the system. And after going round and round, finally got them to come out, and the tech's like, "Yeah, no, you don't need this. This is an old router." Yes, I know. So I just needed you to come out and tell me that so that we could take care of this. And getting that out of this, cutting that out of that router out of the system, my speed jumped from 100 to God, I think over 300 download, and I don't know what the upload is. And I'm on Wi-Fi out here, so it's going to be slower. But I wonder what it is out here. So on the Wi-Fi, it's I've got about 130 download, and upload is about 40.5. So I'm happy with that. The goddamn bacon suggested favorite World War II warbirds. Oh, that might not be a bad one. Mr. Bob said 8 states have been added to the list of states that can use their CCW permits to bypass a NICS check. I know I heard somebody kind of talking about that the other day, and I haven't looked into it. I don't quite understand what's going on with that.
I didn't know that any states didn't do that. So when they first started doing concealed carry, not constitutional carry, but concealed carry, the states that were doing it had concealed carry already. The states that had concealed carry would tell the states, or the states that had it would tell the gun shops that if you've got a CCW, then you've already had a background check. So now you can just do a 4473 and not have to worry about NICS. And I guess if that's the case, then 8 states said, no. Even though the feds have said that we don't need a background check with a 4473, the NICS check, we don't need that anymore. We're going to do it anyway. And that's probably because those are the states that didn't accept normal NICS anyway. Like they had their own state level NICS, and the gun shops would have to call the state instead of the NICS, and then the state would call NICS for them and take longer and all that. So it's possible that those states finally just said, all right, instead of us wasting a bunch of time and money doing what NICS is going to about to do anyway, or not doing anything anyway, just standing in the way, maybe they finally said whatever. But I wonder why 8 states just decide to do that all at the same time. It makes no sense. There's no reason for them to all make that decision at the same time.
Washington used to be that way until 1639 was passed, and that killed that. And then
What do you mean?
When that
So what does
happened,
that do? That said you have to do a background check in addition to NICS or something?
yeah, because I
Is there?
used to
Sorry,
just
boss.
have, my carry permit would take care of. But when 1639 was passed, then the FBI told Washington that we're not going to do your background checks anymore. We were doing it as courtesy. Uh, take that. So now it's done through our state patrol, our background checks. Then when they passed 1639, they had said, "Oh yeah, we could. It's all figured out, all the funding." And then they passed it and said, "Oh well, I don't know. We don't know how we're going to fund this."
Well, if we had our shit together, we'd be challenging states that why would you spend this money? Why are you concerned about something that, whatever it is, 32 other states understand that there's no concern here and you're just wasting money? Like, justify it. Like, prove that there's a reason for you to do this extra check that's unnecessary. And it's unnecessary because 32 states don't do it and there's no issue. And you can't prove that there would be an issue if you didn't do it.
Well, Washington went ahead and said, "Well, we'll go ahead and add another check." So they passed the purchase permit, which goes into effect, I think, 2027. So you get a background check, so you can have a background check, so they can background check you.
That sounds just lovely. But is there a list of these 8 states that have decided to just say, "Hey, you've got to still carry, so you don't have to do the NICS check"?
Well, that was 8 states that did what the other 32 are already doing. Or
Yeah,
no,
I'm asking
that's
what the 8 new
42.
states are. I'm asking if there's a list of the 8 new states that jumped on that wagon.
Right.
We're trying to see.
It might have been, if it's 8 states like that, that might have been the federal government saying, like, quit it. Like, don't do this anymore. And then they all went, all right. Oh, here it is on AmmoLand by Dean Wintergarden. Get rid of this shitty ad. Trump's administration has reconsidered what state and territory firearms permits qualify as substitutes for NICS checks. So it is from the federal down. As of present, 29 states and Puerto Rico have CCWs that qualify. Not all permits may qualify in Alabama. The concealed carry permit and the lifetime concealed carry permit qualify in Michigan. Both the permit to purchase, carry, possess, or transport. What the hell? None of the California permits qualify, surprising, and Hawaii permits. Both Hawaii permits qualify. Here's a list of the states where no permits qualify. Here's a list of states where no permits qualify. Some of these states might be surprising. So this is supposed to be a list of all the states that your CCW permit does not qualify. There's the list right there. Colorado, or California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, all the news, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Tennessee, Virginia, and Washington State.
I would say Florida and Tennessee is a little surprising.
How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a shit ton. So,
20?
say the 8 of all that. this guy doesn't bother to list the 8. It
Again,
says,
steady.
it says 2 more states have been added, Michigan and Alabama. So I'm not sure what maybe Bob's 8 states, unless he's got an article that says 8 states, maybe that's just the way people are referring to this, but it isn't technically 8 states. I'm not sure. Or it is 8 states and this Dean guy didn't bother to write about them. He just wrote about a bunch of other stuff.
Oh, he said in the article to see exactly which permits qualify and which do not. Examine the Brady permit chart at the AATF website. The AATF lists limitations on the substitution of these permits for a Brady law NICS system check from the ATF prior to transferring a firearm utilizing exception 92 blah blah blah. An FFL must ensure the following: the permit is valid and unexpired. The permit was issued not more than 5 years earlier by the state in which the transfer is to take place. The laws of the state provide that such permit was issued only after the state conducted a background check in accordance with the Brady law. That doesn't tell me anything.
I'm curious how many of these states on this list have some sort of mandatory training requirement.
None of them. You mean you think that the mandatory training is what got them off of the list to need NICS? I don't think so, because Arizona doesn't have training, and we've never been on that list. I didn't even know this was a thing. I thought that all the states just defaulted to this, but it turns out it's a federal level thing that they have to say it's okay, I guess. So according to the ATF thing, when you click on that red link a little bit up from wherever you just said that quote, there's a red link right there.
Yeah.
I clicked on that.
What?
And it's a chart at the ATF website, and it says for Pennsylvania, state law allows licenses to be issued to individuals who are prohibited from possessing firearms under federal law. So because Pennsylvania has a more liberal application of who can own a firearm than the federal do, then that's why they're saying that they're giving
Gotcha.
a carry permit to too many people, so it doesn't work. It goes on with a massive paragraph to say Pennsylvania licenses will not qualify as an alternative under the Brady Act because they are issued to those who cannot acquire firearms. According to Pennsylvania law, seemingly prohibits issuing a license to carry a firearm to persons who are prohibited from federal law. Man, it goes on and on and on. In the affected state commerce, Pennsylvania law also requires licensed dealers to conduct background checks before whatever. So
Oh, the chart is kind of neat in that, maybe I'll bring it up here. So on the states where you cannot do that, it explains why you cannot do that.
yeah, but some of them are dumb. Like a NICS background check is not a required prior to the issuance of permit. What that doesn't, that's just words. That doesn't say anything. A NICS background check is not required prior to the issuance of this permit. Like that's just words. Like that, it's not telling us why. You know, I'm looking at Rhode Island specifically there. Or like the Tennessee one. C note for Tennessee. When state and federal laws impose different requirements, FFLs must follow the stricter of the two. Tennessee law requires a background check on every sale from a licensed dealer. Huh. So sometimes it's the state's problem, and sometimes it's the Fed, I guess. Well, I guess it's mostly, it looks like I'm reading a lot of them. The person prohibited disqualifies for this permit does not include all federal prohibitors. So it looks like state CCWs are given to people who wouldn't be able to federally own guns all the time. So I
Well,
think
that's
actually
kind of
cool.
what it's looking through the denial list. Kind
Right.
of seems like basically To get your CCW, you pass the NICS check. So you don't need to redo that NICS check after that because you've already done the NICS check to get
Right.
the CCW.
It's just that some states give the CCW to people who federally can't own a firearm. So that's why the feds in those states are like, well, just because you have a CCW doesn't mean you can own a gun. So no, you can't just bypass NICS. And that's, like I said, it's kind of cool, but it sucks for everybody who's, I guess, legally, federally legal, because now you got to wait around because the feds aren't happy with the people who fall into that, whatever you call that, like that situation with the state. What is Illinois' reason?
It said for concealed carry permit for Illinois, when the state and federal laws impose different requirements, FFLs must follow the stricter of the two. 18 USC 927 Illinois law requires that all firearms transfers by federally licensed firearm dealers are subject to background check requirements. And then for the under that, the firearms owners, the FOID card. C note for Illinois concealed carry permit. Furthermore, the Illinois court have held that the director of the Department of State Police is not prohibited from exercising discretion issuing FOID if overwhelming evidence shows that the applicant is a law-abiding citizen and productive member of his community since his convictions. Helen v. Trent, 686. The discretion extends to issuing FOID to federally prohibited persons. So kind of like G. Webbs was saying that
That's
the
messed
state
up.
will issue when the feds won't.
Well, this is saying, because it breaks down Illinois to either having a concealed carry permit or having an FOID card, and they're saying the reason you can't use your concealed carry permit is because Illinois also has an FOID card, and they have to go with the strictest of the laws in front of you. So now they go, okay, you got an FOID card. Well, we might give an FOID card to a convicted felon, so therefore, fuck all of you with the who aren't convicted felons. We're going to treat you all as if. And it doesn't say Illinois has done it. It just says Illinois has not prohibited their director of Department of State Police from doing it. So because they haven't prohibited their state police guy from doing it, that means that it might happen, and therefore the feds are like, since it could happen or it might happen, not that it did happen, but because it might happen, screw y'all. Y'all are doing your, 4473s. Or I mean, NICS checks. So that's lame. Like that's not. Is that a catch-22? That's like, well, we don't want you to do it because we might have this issue, and we haven't stopped this issue from ever happening. It's never happened necessarily, and it probably won't ever happen. But since it's not specifically barred from happening, we're going to make you do all this extra stuff. I don't know. It seems like an easy thing to clean up, right? Like that kind of thing seems like we should be able to address that and clean it up in no time, but I don't think that's on anybody's short-term list of shit to do.
Mr. Bob said, it's my understanding that there's a place on the 4473 to list your CCW number and a checkbox to indicate NICS bypass, box 29. It is there. Number 29, no NICS check required because the transferee/buyer has a valid permit from the state where the transfer is to take place, which qualifies as an exemption.
Yep, and we would just always use that in here in Arizona. So you're still doing a 4473. It's just that you're not doing a NICS. And then people act like they're not doing a 4473 because maybe all they do is sign it, but it's still being filled out and it's still being retained by the store. That part has never changed. It's just that the NICS check where you have to deal with it and wait for the call and all that gets deferred. I guess except for 8 states. Or 9 states. And it's not like those have changed. There's just, I guess there used to be fewer states. There used to be like 21 that did it, and now they've changed it to just those 9. Because this is a current ATF website or whatever. It says down at the bottom, last reviewed June 4th, 2025, like on the ATF website. So, but that's one of those things that's, I didn't know all this time that was even a thing. So that's annoying to me when little stuff like that is even a thing. And we don't talk to each other as a community enough to realize it. So we could have addressed it and gotten rid of those, ironed those things out a long time ago.
Yeah, also at the bottom of the page it says keep up with the latest ATF updates. Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, and email. So you can hear it from the horse's mouth. I get to, I'll probably go Wednesday, pick up my shotgun that I bought. Technically, I can pick it up Tuesday, but I got stuff I got to do. So, as that Cabela's is a nightmare. I don't know how long it'll take. So, just to be safe, I'm going to go Wednesday to go pick it up. Because the 10 days will have elapsed, and everybody will know that it's safe. It's now safe that it's been 10 days. Ron Wayne is out there. Good morning.
Good evening.
Wow, he's up late.
Probably had to go to the bathroom. And I still go back and forth every time I hear about the permit to purchase in Washington. And I'm not sure, because I saw when you had listed that on your Discord about the Washington, that I can't find anything about the live fire training dealing with the concealed carry permits.
What do you say? My robot made shit up on that thing?
I don't know, because I went in and looked at the bill. I didn't see it in the bill. I mean, there's always a chance that I missed something, but I'm not seeing it in the bill, and I have never heard anybody talk about it.
Because Colorado got it, so my robot might be just assuming shit or mixing things up.
Because if I have to do the live fire for the permit, then I'm going to keep getting my permit. If it's just for the guns, I don't know if I'll buy more guns, because I know I should to fight the process, but fuck them and their process.
I don't know if you have to do stuff just because they make it a process. I think you shouldn't feel bad if you do participate in their process, but I don't think you have an obligation to fight it. You know what I mean, or what you're saying.
I know, it's just if I don't, then I feel like I'm giving up, which is probably stupid, but
because they're the ones that came up with it. It's not like we all said, okay, we should all do this, and they said do it more, and we said no, we should do it medium, and they said no, you have to do it more, and we're just agreeing to do it more instead of medium. Like, they came up with this out of nowhere, so complying with it is a bit of a bullshit situation. I don't think complying with it proves anything other than I can handle your bullshit or whatever, but I don't think you need to do that. You get points for doing it, like showing them that fuck them, they don't stop us from buying guns, but I don't think you get, what's the word? I don't think you should feel bad if you decide, fuck them, I'm not going to buy guns and deal with this. Because the idea is that ideally you get rid of the situation. And now, so you didn't buy guns for a month or something, but It's not like you're never going to buy guns again, but during that time, I can see either position. Like, I don't think anybody should feel bad when they impose something on you that means you either got to deal with it or not do it. I don't think you can make a wrong decision there. The people that deal with it, good for them, and the people that say screw it, I'm going to wait, good for them. Like, I don't think one solution solves it, and everybody who's doing the other is somehow a problem. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, there's just no win. They've created a no win situation, and all you're doing is choosing an option of no win.
Yeah, and I mean, I even thought about getting certified as a trainer, and then fucking doing it for free. Let somebody wants to get their FOID card and they need to do the do the process. Let them do the process for free. But I think the problem will be is you have to be the also certified with the state. They have to look at your program, and which means it's going to be expensive to do. Which
I'd be concerned about like having a service where you go, like, come through here and I'll just sign off on it, because then you're still responsible for what you sign off on.
If I were to ever do that, I would go through what they're supposed to go through, but just not, make it accessible for people. So, but that's probably not going to happen. I had kind of thought about that for a while, is doing it, being certified just to do it. But I just haven't wanted to go to where you have to go and pay for what you have to pay for. Just to have done it.
You feeling better, Gizzard?
Yeah, mostly the last few days my issue was my voice, because I lost my voice last week. It took a long time for it to come back, but it's probably about 95% now, so feeling just fine, yeah.
Feels like I haven't heard from you in a while. We missed the show, so it's been like 2 weeks since I've seen a show or something.
We'll be back Monday. Going strong.
Ron Wayne brings up the Kobayashi Maru scenario. I don't believe in a no-win situation.
Yeah, but there is definitely people will try to create no-win situations and present them as you got a bad option and a worse option. Here you go, choose one. And that's probably a tactic, right? Like, like a chess move or like a checkers move or something. Like, we got them to where they have to choose, an option that's going to allow us to win or something. So, yeah, we just have to get either more used to playing right away again or coming up with more tricky moves. Planning ahead, maybe. Are they super smart and like winning at 4D chess, or are they just obnoxious and standing in the way, and every once in a while they happen to stand in a way that blocks us 4 ways, and every once in a while they're ineffective, and we just the randomness of sometimes they're effective in spite of themselves? Or is it like a deliberate, like they sat around, thought about it, and said, oh, if we do this, that'll really fuck with them?
It's not 4D chess. It's basically they have 2/3 of the chess pieces. So
I see. They do just stacked in their favor.
Yeah, they have a super majority in the state, so they do what they want when they want.
I don't know if you listened to me and Tony today, but I really think we have, like, Tony had Mike Sedini on one of his shows that he does with some instructors, and they were talking to Mike Sedini from Talk America for quite a while, like 2 hours maybe, or. And one of the things they said in there was, what did they say? That how did Mike put it? Um, Dang, now I'm trying to blank at what I was trying to reference. You didn't listen to that part of the show, I guess.
I missed your chat while I was doing stuff.
Um, well, I drawn a blank. As soon as not trying to think of it, I'll think of it.
So I saw when you went live, and then I thought, oh crap, it must be bedtime. G Webs is going live, and um, then fussed around until about 6:30 and took a nap. Ozzy said the Illinois FOID had been ruled unconstitutional twice in the lower courts and overturned in the higher court.
I think when when the satellites pass off to each other or something. I know Yankee has issues with his Starlink, doesn't he? I wonder if I'm going to have the same thing.
He used to. I don't know if he does so much anymore. Yeah, with the Starlink, I'm not sure. I read an article about the Starlink about how the problem with it is the amount of satellites and their lifespan. Because it's only, I forget how many, like 5, 8 years.
Yeah, they're like softballs or something. They're not big. They're just little tiny things floating around in a giant grid, really low. Like they're lower than all the other satellites too, right?
Yeah, but there's thousands of them, and you have to replace them. So you're replacing thousands of them every few years.
Yeah, that's not even an issue though. And they're gonna get to the point where they just build them in space. And as soon as you're building them in space out of space materials, it's not even an issue anymore. But I know I don't have it aimed right. I have the angle off or something. I'm like pointed at the satellites, but I have the angle off, so it's not a great shot or whatever it's called. Like it's on a great alignment.
Maybe it's kind of like with when DirecTV got digital, you had to, the way the satellites were spaced out, you had to point south so that it was over Mexico, but then also tilt it.
Right. But they had like 6 satellites, and like you say, now there's thousands, so it's a little bit different, I would think. But I don't know. I'm guessing I have to aim it at like a belt of them or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like if they're running around in big stripes around the planet or something, like they probably allocate, okay, you go on this section of them or something so that they pass off the data to each other or something.
Apparently, you can see them sometimes.
Oh, fuck yeah. I see them all the time. You definitely see them being just whatever, like deployed. Then they look like a big event happening in space. But if you're just sitting here minding your business, you can see them go by. Like, usually back in the day, you'd see a satellite go by. Now you see like 12 satellites in kind of formation looking, like flying by. It's pretty neat. I don't know if it's neat or not, actually. It's interesting.
Yeah, I've seen singular satellites before. I haven't seen the Starlink stream of them going around, but
it's not like a grid. It'll just be like 4 or 5 that you can see, because it's kind of like how the moonlight or the sunlight or whatever is hitting them. So, I've seen like 4 or 5 maybe like in a row, and they just, instead of one moving across the sky like way faster than any of the stars or anything, it's like, like 4 of them that are connected to each other, almost like they're tethered to each other. Just, I don't know. There's no way to take pictures of them. They're too little. I don't have a telescope for that, but That might be an interesting challenge. But the thing is, they're moving, so that would actually be really tough. I don't even know, like the things that track the sun are super slow compared to how fast they're moving.
Oh, so gee whips. Is there anything you have? Ron Wayne asked, wonder how long before they become self aware like V'ger?
I don't think anywhere soon. Once we get satellites, not satellites, but small moons that are giant computers in space, that's what we need to get to be able to get AI. Like, to be, like we don't have enough space on the planet and computer power on the planet. Not space, but we don't have enough resources on the planet to cool down enough computers to make AI aware. But once we start building computers in space, and we don't have to worry about cooling them anymore because they're in space, and we don't have to worry about powering them anymore because they got solar panels on them and they're in space, then we'll have what do you call it, quantum, and then we'll have AI 5 minutes later, and then we'd have to be considering it. But when it's in space, when it's hovering around like a moon, is it a danger? Because you can always just shut it off or fling it out into the space. Like, it's not going to be able to do much to you if it's not like a robot walking around. But maybe not. I don't know.
And I am probably one of
We'll
the few
get
people who like Star Trek the movie, the original, the first Star Trek movie. I know it was
Where
slow.
Beaker comes from?
Yeah. The Voyager satellite was picked
Oh,
up by
that's
a silicone based life form and kind of integrated with it. And part of the Voyager name was blocked by CRUD, so it was like VGER. They called it V'ger. I still fear and distrust the robots.
You see, I built a language
I
model
did see
on
that.
Minuteman.
I have not looked at it, but I saw you
Well,
posted
it's
about it.
nowhere that anybody can work on it. It's not. I don't know. I don't know enough about it to turn it on to the world because I don't know how much. I know it costs me. Like, it costs me every time the robot thinks. I'm paying for that. So if I turned it on, I don't know if that would turn into like real money or not. Like right now, it's costing me pennies every time I make the robot think. But you know what I mean? Like, just because it costs pennies to have a drinking fountain doesn't mean you want to turn your drinking fountain on to the public. Because then, I don't know who all might use it, and then wake up one morning and have like a $7,000 bill or something. $70,000 bill. Who knows? I don't have any idea how fast that stuff adds up and how fast people would use it. But anyway, once I figure all that shit out, or I can put a throttle on it or something, so I don't have to worry about that part of it, then I'll think about putting it out there. But I'm still trying to figure out how to build the thing, and then the other side of it is how much and what and how much stuff do you give it to feed off of? Like, how much knowledge do you give it to use as its knowledge base? How
So what's
much
your
do I want to
intent
give it, and
for
how
it?
much am I able to give it? Like, what am I legally and ethically like allowed to give it, type of thing. Well,
What
I'm
do you
just
want it to do?
I didn't sit down and go, here's what I want to do. I just needed to do something else, and I needed to do a test project, and I thought, oh well, why don't I use Minuteman? I already have data over there, and if I got to build a little robot anyway, I might as well build a little robot and call it a Minuteman robot. So it wasn't like I said, what the world needs is a robot on Minuteman University, and I wasn't thinking of it in that direction. So I'm still learning the what do you call it, like the tools or whatever. Once I figured it out and I understand the tools, then I might go back and think about, what needs to exist over here. I've thought about it a little bit, but I haven't put much thought into it because I didn't even know it was a thing, honestly, until, you know what I mean? Like, just recently, there's only been AI for a little while, let alone figuring out that I can make it for my own projects or whatever. So it's not like this has been a end of a long-term thought process. It's just something I figured out I could do. And now I'm thinking, oh, what can I do with it, or what should I do with it? But for example, like, you put the Constitution in it, that's a no-brainer. You put the Bill of Rights in there, that's a no-brainer. You put the all the fucking laws. I mean, not all of them, but all the ones that are applicable. So Title I and Title II of the federal laws, that's, all the gun laws. You put all that in there. And then Minuteman has, well, it has listed all the court cases. So now you could technically, I guess, I don't think there's somewhere there's practical and there's possible, right? Like, I could put all the court cases in there, but is that practical? Like making the robot, paying for the robot to look at all those court cases, waiting for the robot to look at all those court cases? Like, every once in a while, that might be really good and necessary, but most of the time it's probably unnecessary, right? And it's probably just costly. So I don't know if this thing has, like, maybe I can have two piles of data, like the really deep pile of data that you use when you need it, and then this more shallow pile of data that you use on the regular basis, and then deep dive when you need to, type of thing. But you can set that kind of shit up, or I don't know. Like I say, I'm still figuring out all the rules and parameters and options and possibilities with it. But I guess that's sort of the concept, is if you give it, any of these robots are just looking at a bunch of data, right? And sometimes the data is everything that was ever said on Twitter. Sometimes it was everything anybody ever searched for on Google. And those robots are really smart because they have a lot of data to think of. But some of these things are like, for a company like Gizzard's old job, like, if at some point they're going to have a little robot that'll read all of the procedures and all of the company employee manuals, and whenever an employee says, am I allowed to park here on Thursday? They'll just ask the robot, and the robot will read all the manuals and go, yeah, no problem. Or, according to fucking blah, 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 you're not supposed to do that. So this is sort of that application, like somebody who just creates a little language model, gives it a bunch of data for their own little whatever exercises and projects. I don't know what kind of projects and exercises people might want or need out of a 2A1. You know what I mean? Like, do I make it for the lawyers? Do I make it for activists? I tend to want to make it for activists, right? Do I make it for the regular public? Do I make it for antis? Or all of the above? Probably all of the above, right? So anyway, I'm still thinking about all that.
Fuku YT Boomstick is out there. I don't know. For me, I would lean towards just putting the knowledge out there for whoever wants it, not focused on any particular sector.
Well, I mean, it's focused in respects that, like, it's going to have a certain amount of data in there, and I'm not going to put in, like, well, I mean, maybe I should put in, like, the Brady campaigns. I don't know. They have, like, the Violence Policy Center, I guess, is one of the Bloomberg projects, and it's sort of like Minuteman, except the opposite. It's like all the reasons guns are bad, they think. And it's this massive list of all kinds of things that have happened, and their, like, weird perception of everything being, negative about it from the gun's perspective. Anything the gun touches is negative. So if you put that all that knowledge in there, essentially digitize it, give it to the brain so that it uses that as part of its its knowledge, then you'd probably get more better answers on how to talk to the other side. But one, like, again, I don't know how the scale of this stuff, what the cost is and stuff. And then am I allowed to just go grab somebody else's data like that and throw it in there, like, legally or ethically or whatever? So there's no, it's a deep topic, or it could be a deep topic.
Mr. Bob said, looks like 13 states: Alabama, California, Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Michigan, Missouri, Montana, Puerto Rico, Utah, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. That's when we're talking a little bit earlier about this. I think that's the states.
Is he not live, maybe?
Yeah. Ozzy asked, what happens when the satellites stop working?
They just don't have internet. They fall out of the space.
Well, I took that to be like when they need to be replaced, because I don't think they're going to bring them down.
Now, these are inexpensive. His strategy was make little softball-sized satellites. You send them up hundreds at a time. They get up there and they throw them off into whatever directions they need to make, to put them in the orbits there again. And I suspect, I haven't actually heard this, but I suspect since they're the size of baseballs or something, they just fall into the atmosphere and burn up, become nothing, and they just throw more out to replace it, which is probably smart because you figure how long is tech still valuable or viable up there? Like some of the satellites we've got are old as shit because they've lasted for 25, 30 years. But if you make the thing last 7 years and you're just going to throw another one up there, the next one you throw up there could be upgraded, like way faster, better, whatever. And it's not really like you don't have to upgrade the old one, you're just letting it die.
It's kind of scary if you look at the maps that show how much space junk there is, whether it's dead satellites or pieces of things floating around.
Yeah, I've seen somebody doing something in space, like working on something, and they showed like just junk flying right past them, and it's moving at like 37,000 miles an hour or something, right? Like it's
that's like the goddamn Bacon brought up. AI can be stopped by a well-placed micrometeor. Worst Skynet ever. Paints of flakes of paint are like bullets because you're moving so fast.
Yep. I remember there was a spacewalk that was done there. I think they were working on a satellite, and they had to plug something in. And while they were working on it, the I'm trying to remember what. Oh, so the plug itself had a female connector on it, and when I went to plug it back in, they couldn't get it to go in because being in space, extremely cold, so it shrank. And they're like, crap, we're running out of time here. And the astronaut that was on the job was like, hold on, how much longer do we have? And he knew that shortly, within like a minute or so, that the sun would be coming up. And once that happened, he shined that connector towards the sun. So it heated up, expanded. He is able to plug it in. But even then, like there's video footage where it shaved off part of the prong as it was going on.
I just looked it up and it's I'm wrong. They're not the size of baseballs. They're 500 pounds. So yeah, the Gen 1s were 500 pounds. The second generation of them are 1,700 pounds. But he's got 7,500 of them in space already. There's only 20 of them that are non-operational. The plan is to have, well, that's not known, but the plan is somewhere to have between 12,000 and 42,000 of them up there. So they're only about halfway to their, not even, yeah, they're about halfway to their goal of what they want up there, and then they'll probably start doing more. They're about 3 to 6 feet. Their solar panels are 3 to 6 feet. So it's like a big 6-foot mirror up there we're looking at when we see them. And yeah, they last 5 years. And they just fall back into the atmosphere and burn up.
The goddamn bacon. The goddamn bacon. I mean, is all that debris moving the exact speed needed for geostationary orbit? No.
No, it's all over the place, right?
It's rocketing around or orbiting.
But I suspect a lot of it is like moving in the same direction with each other so that they're not like constantly colliding into each other or nothing. They're just, if one of them stopped, they'd get hit maybe. But it's also the sides of the earth. So think about like, you know what I mean? If you how much shit would you have to throw out there for the size of the earth? You could have a garbage truck full of shit and it would never touch each other. You know what I mean? Like you could have football stadium full of shit and throw it out into space, and it would never touch each other. Like, that's a lot of space out there.
Yeah, but the problem is every year there's more shit.
For sure.
Yep.
And every time, I'm sure when something hits, 2 pieces turn into 14 pieces or something.
Well, and that is the problem. I mean, think about taking 2 hammers and just smashing 2 hammers together and what that can do. Now imagine smashing 2 hammers together at 18,000 miles an hour.
That's what it's like when 9mm hits steel when you're shooting it. It's almost a nuclear explosion. It's just tiny.
Ron White said we could just get Mega Maid to vacuum it all up. Suck, 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 suck. That's from a movie by a director you don't like. See what?
So they don't talk about how big the Starlink satellites are, but it looks like people have determined, based on the measurement of the absolute visual magnitude, how big the satellites are. So they've measured the reflection from sun or whatever compared to other satellites and decided, done the math to figure out how big the Starlink ones are that way by physically looking at them. That's pretty cool.
Boom! Stick said every time I got to go see the in-laws on Proxima B in the Alpha Centauri constellation, I always have to avoid space junk around the Earth.
Yep.
What if they just made all the different spaceships with magnets, and every time they went up, they just magnetized a bunch of shit, and eventually it would all be gone?
Oh.
Well, how
Every
much
so
of that
often-
material is actually magnetic?
I don't think that's the thing. Probably none of it. It's probably all titanium and aluminum and shit.
Every so often you hear somebody talk about trying to clean up the junk, but
Salvage one. I went back and watched it. It's kind of like watching Elon make his rocket.
I watched Rockula, really bad B movie made by Canon.
I've seen
Had
the new
Tony-
Wick. I've seen the
Had
girl
Tony
Wick.
Basil in it. I probably won't see the new Wick.
I hate
None of
all the
them.
Wicks, and this did not change my mind. It's just as dumb as all the other Wicks, except that, they might as well call it Wick. Am I allowed to say he's in it? Like, he's in it, so it's just there's also a girl in it more.
He's in the commercials that I've seen.
Oh, okay, so I'm not spoiling anything.
Yeah, I called it Chick Wick.
I was hoping that it would be like, not like a sequel, but like, hey, it's in the universe, but we're going to make it different. But, it couldn't be any more the same. Like, it's literally just another one of them. That's what people want, I guess. But the new one that's out is called The Surfer. You have any plans on seeing that? It's a, what's that guy's name? I can't think of his name. Nicolas Cage. He's like a surfer in Australia, but it's like supposed to be like a trippy movie or something. It's like got a weird ending.
I don't know. Nicolas Cage is, I've liked some of his movies. He's not a great actor. So it's not, I never think, oh God, Nicolas Cage has a new movie. It's
Well,
like,
Yeah, I don't love them. I don't hate them. I don't have a problem with them. So I usually watch them, but I don't love all of them for sure. This one was not that good. It was interesting, but I didn't get it, I guess.
Because he's a vampire.
I
It
did
does
like
get
that
trippy like that,
movie.
but it's not vampire. But you don't know if he's alive or dead, type of thing.
The I liked his vampire movie. I thought it was kind of funny.
You guys have never heard the conspiracy theory that Nicolas Cage is a vampire?
No,
Oh, in real life, like that's his thing. Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah.
I can see why people say that.
No. Apparently, there's a photo of I think it's a soldier from the Civil War. I think that looks exactly like Nicolas Cage. Like spit an image. It's uncanny.
Yeah, I've
And
seen that with a lot of actors though. Like they'll do that on
yeah,
once in a while. So I don't know. I mean, assuming they're not doctored or photoshopped or whatever, I just put it off to maybe it is a relative, but we can only have so many faces, right? Like you're gonna
I
repeat a face.
I've seen Instagram posts of people at like museums where they find a picture that looks just like them.
Yeah, and they're like standing there in
Yeah,
front of the picture. Yeah, but I think it goes back to like how many ways our face is going to be so many ways. So I think we're going to kind of see repeats. Plus, again, if it's an echo in a family or something, you don't know who your whole family is, and it just might be a genetically similar person in your family that you just didn't know. There was a thing that kind of similar that goes around that like I forget what president like Garfinkel or Garfield or somebody like has a great grandkid that's still alive and or had at the time of the internet. So it was something like one of the first presidents or like how they say the founding fathers were like that first number of presidents. It was like one of those or something. And then when he was like 76, he married a 26-year-old lady, had a couple of kids, and then one of those kids married a 26-year-old when he was 76. And that's how this guy who's like 70 has like a great grandfather or something that's from the freaking 1700s. So I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, but all I'm saying is like, it's not, since that's a thing, like that means that like every once in a while that must happen in real life where like, instead of being 8 generations ago, this person's actually just 4 generations from that time frame.
for Nicolas Cage, I liked Raising Arizona.
How about that for a bracket? Nicolas Cage movies
I
or
could
the
do that.
character movies,
There's
like not the
there should
movies,
be
but the
enough.
characters. Oh, there's tons, right?
Yeah.
Shit, you could probably get 16 good ones and then still have 16 bad ones.
Ron Wayne said he did successfully heist the Declaration of Independence.
Good point. Think of how rich he is of how the gold he's found.
So what we'll do that next week. That'll be the bracket. Best Nicolas Cage movie. Ozzy said,
So
"I'm
people
my own
can go to
grandpa." I was thinking about that song when you
so
left the song.
you could go to the Discord and suggest them.
Yes, there is a spot to suggest for bracket suggestions on the Discord. There's a link in the description for the Discord, and it's scrolling across the screen right there.
One of the reasons I'm using Discord is group I'm in, and then another group came along and started using Discord, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm not against that because I'm already using Discord, right? And then they were there for a couple of months, and then they booked it to this other thing it's called Circle. It's like Discord. So I went over there and I'm looking around, and it's basically exactly like Discord, right? Except you can do live streaming right in it. I was like, oh, this is cool, and I can do live streaming right in it. I'll just go ahead and make a channel, and then it turns out it's a pay thing. $89 a month for the lowest, for the cheapest.
Holy.
$89. I don't know what the hell she's making a ton of money, but I don't know where somebody goes, well, there's Discord and it's free, or I can have my own personal one that's a little bit better, like just slightly better, but it's almost the exact same thing for $89. Like, holy crap. Anyway, so needless to say, I deleted my server over there and I did not start it. It's like, you have 14 hours left in your free trial or something. I'm like, 14 hours? What do you mean free trial? Like, how much does this cost? I'm like, oh shit.
Must be for the gaming streamers that are raking in money.
Oh no, it's made for people that are making courses, because a big piece of it is video, and another big piece of it is having courses. Like, it builds lesson plans and all that shit for people that are doing that kind of thing.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, the airplane that's taken off,
Yeah.
the hovercraft that's on top of you.
That's the condensation pump for the heat pump for the coils inside. So I wrote it on the board, on the whiteboard, so it will not be forgotten. So next week we'll do a Nicolas Cage bracket.
Nicolas Cage match.
Ooh. Rage in the Cage. So barbecue.
Yo.
Barbecue. Is there anything you have coming up that you want to let all these fine folks know about?
No, nothing of importance. Just same stuff I say all the time. Be sure to go buy a shirt from DM Foss. I'm still looking for the link for those. One day I'll find it. Thanks for the invite.
There is a link in the description for the merch shop. So.
Oh, snap. It's just in the description?
Yes. Oh, and also in the description, there's a link for Sharon Hinchcliffe's Give, Send, Go. She's an awesome lady, 2A advocate, been doing a lot, especially in Washington, who she has been dealing with cancer, and her insurance isn't paying for everything. So she's trying to raise a little money to. So if you got a couple bucks, you can throw her way. There's a link in the description. Anything would be appreciated. G-Webs, what you got going on?
Nothing. Thanks for hosting.
Gary, how about you? Anything coming up on the Old Man Shouts at Everybody on Shouting at Clouds channel?
Oh man, what?
Oh, Boomer Listens. That's what it's called. Boomer Listens.
Oh, yeah, I do need to put some content back on there. My voice has been gone for the last week or so I need to get busy and get some more stuff on there. Also, we will resume Foul Territory Monday night, 9 p.m. Central on that. And, of course, my channel members, the members only chat every Wednesday. So, and hopefully get some other content on my main channel also. I've had a week off to rest my voice, and other than just the occasional froggy sound, I'm pretty good on the voice. So, yeah, I should be getting back to business. And thanks for everybody for being patient with me, and thanks for having me on tonight. Appreciate it.
Tanned, rested, and ready.
Ready.
Monday there should be a short coming out again with the Limp Wristed series, shooting guns with the Limp Wristed to see if you can shoot them Limp Wristed. And next chat will be next weekend, which we are gonna do a Nicolas Cage bracket. Other than that, thank you to everybody that was out there in the chat. And if you watch this replay, leave a comment. Anything we're talking about, agree with, disagree with. I read all the comments. They are always appreciated. I hope everybody has a good rest of the night and go do something good.